This is the rubric I'm going to use when I grade this shoe drawing. You can see that I'm looking for 5 things, and in order to get a good grade, you'll want to look in the right-hand column. I will also put this rubric on Google Classroom. Right here, what we're going to do is set up our computer just like that. I'm going to take my shoes off. There we go. Okay. So think about how you want to display your shoes. Is that a nice picture? If you turn them that way, is that more interesting? If you put them this way, would that be more interesting? So line them up a little bit. Think about how you want to display them. And then once you have it the way that you want it, just take a picture. This is a really good drawing of a shoe that shows all the folds. Here's how you're going to accomplish that. You're going to start by drawing right on top of your background with watercolor. Just draw very lightly so that if you mess up, you can erase it easily. Dark lines are really hard to erase. The outline should just be a representation of where the things are in the shoe. Where are the shoelaces? Are they on top of the shoe? Are they next to the shoe? Can you see the inside of the shoe? Where does the plastic part of the shoe start? Where does it end? How long is the front of the shoe compared to the back? You should be able to finish your light outline by the end of class Monday. When you're done with the outline, then you can start adding the values. For your values, you can either use a drawing pencil or a colored pencil. You're going to do it just like we practice blending by adding nice light layers of pencil value, blending softly so that you can't see your pencil strokes. You're going to have to look at the actual shoe or the photograph of the shoe to be able to notice where the dark values are. Your outline is just a guideline as to where the values start. Take your outline and draw a value either to the right or to the left of the outline. Or take your outline and draw a value to the top or the bottom. The outline is really just where the value in the shadow starts. You can see in this section that outline is where the shadow starts, and so all of the shadows and values are on the inside of that outline for that part of the shoe. He's adding in more nice light layers. The reason why that part is white is because it's made of plastic, and then so he's going to draw and shade everything else around it so that you can see the white part. That's how to get white parts to show up, is by shading around it. Again, for this part, you can use regular drawing pencil to add grays, blacks, and dark grays, or you can do it in colored pencil. I'll show you an example in a second. That shoelace drapes down and over the shoe. There's a cast shadow on the shoe because there's some space between the shoelace and the shoe. So don't forget to notice the cast shadows. That end is really just a cylinder, so you can shape it and shadow it like a cylinder. Every time you're drawing an object, you should constantly be looking at it to notice where the dark, medium, and light values are. You can always go back and add more dark values, or you can go back and erase light values. That shoelace goes inside that hole, so it gets very dark shadow right there. Again, that's another cylinder. Just shade it like a cylinder. The back part of the shoe has a lot of shadows and a lot of folds. Let's watch that slowly so you can see how they are drawn on it. They're using blending. You have to look at what parts are on top, which parts are underneath. Putting in some nice light layers of value in pencil, and then if it's darker, just going over it again with another layer. Smoothly blending it so that you can't see your pencil strokes. Remember when we practiced blending the sphere, changing it from a circle to a sphere by gradually blending the shadows. The shadows are what you're going to spend most of your time doing because you're going to have to do it in multiple layers. And if you have a really dark shadow that is almost black, again, that takes 7 or 8 layers of pencil, gradually built up. Now the reason why you can see this white part of the shoe is because the value is next to it. Okay? Try to get rid of those dark black outlines with your pencil by just turning them into shading and value. That's a really good finished product. It looks three-dimensional. Mostly on Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll be filling in the shadows. If you're doing your project in colored pencil, here's a really great example of doing the same thing, but using colored pencil instead of regular pencil. The colored pencils we're using are Prismacolor, and they have a waxy content. If you push really hard, you can get a really intense color. What you'll want to start doing with the colored pencil is just laying in a nice even layer of color first, and for the values, going back and overlapping those with a harder pencil, just pushing harder, or even some black colored pencil, or some colored pencil that's the complementary color of that same color. But the first layer is just a nice even layer of color. Then you're going to come back and add some shadows. So this blue is a pretty even blue. It's going to get darker later. When you're coloring with colored pencil, make sure to do it smoothly so that you can't see your pencil strokes. In the end, we shouldn't be able to tell which way you colored. Was it up and down, side to side? It should be just a nice, smooth application of color. I want all the details of your shoe to be in the finished product. So if you have stitching or logos that you want to include in, be sure to do that and take your time. This is another nice light layer of the blue colored pencil. So far in this part, there's no shadows. It's just a layer of color. There's a little bit of pencil strokes there. You can tell which way he's coloring. But another layer should get rid of those. Now, Thursday and Friday, I want you to go back and add darker shadows. If you think you're done, you're probably not, and you probably need to add more shadows. So you can see he's coloring a little bit harder. And the harder you press, the more intense your color will get with the colored pencil, and the same with regular pencil. This is layer number 2. You can see how it's getting a little bit darker by just pushing harder. He also added a little bit of black for the shadows underneath the shoestrings. You can see a little bit of a cast shadow underneath the shoe as well with black. Don't forget about cast shadows. Here he's adding some black on top for the third layer to make those shadows on the shoe. See how it really makes that label on the back of the shoe pop out when you add black around it so that you can see that shadow. Erase any outlines that you can still see. The shoelaces on this shoe are striped. So, noticing which way the stripes go, is putting in the values for those. Take your time. There's a really good finished product. The white part of the shoe is not completely all white. It looks like you can put your foot inside the shoe. The laces look three-dimensional. Think of the laces like little cylinders. Here's another really good example of a finished product. Dark, medium, and light values, nice background, cast shadow. Very neat. Three-dimensional, looks like you could put your feet inside the shoes because there's so many shadows inside. That's what makes it look like it's a shoe that you could put on. This is how I'm going to grade this project.